Well, Paul's back again, and Melty Baron is here, and we're here for part 2 of the Q&A that we started last week. So if you enjoyed that, you're going to enjoy this too. Stay tuned. Hi YouTube, Autumn Beckman here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My channel is all about luxury living on a budget, from high-end luxury handbags and small goods to the everyday luxuries of life. If that sounds interesting to you, please make sure you subscribe, click the bell notification icon to be notified when I post new videos, and be sure to like the videos that you enjoy. And one of the perks of subscribing to this channel is you get to see my community posts on your YouTube homepage, where I post deals, discount codes, sales, and rare finds related to these beautiful things we love. Welcome to part 2. My arms are tired.
Would you like me to take him?
Sure. Can you spare an arm with your coffee there?
I'll put my coffee down for this guy. He's probably going to sneeze in my face. There's my melty boy. Next question. What's the most fun thing we've done? What's the most fun thing we've done? Why don't you go first?
Well, I sort of already used this answer. I was going to say Italy. When I was finding these questions, that was the first thing that came to my mind. There was another thing though, so I'll use this one. I think it was 2016. For my spring break, we went to New York City. I used to live there, and I showed Paul all around. And while we were there, we were thinking, you know, it's mid-March, it's springtime. While we were there, a blizzard hit, like a major blizzard. There were feet of snow, and we were staying at this hotel in Columbus Circle that's not there anymore. I had been wanting to go over to the plaza to have breakfast.
Yes.
Is that what we did? Hot chocolate and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when we left that morning to walk over there, it was sleeting to the point, like, it's not that long of a walk. It's only about 3 or 4 blocks. Long blocks, but still. And it was sleeting in a very painful way where we had to hail a cab. We like barely got across the street and had to hail a cab to get over there. And there was almost nobody out because the streets weren't shoveled. What did they do? They weren't cleared.
I don't know. I'm from Houston.
I know. I don't know the proper terminology for snow. But then we had our breakfast at the plaza, and then we walked across the street to Central Park, and we walked through the park and all the way up to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which is a nice long walk, and it took maybe 4 hours or so, and it's snowing the whole time, like heavy snow. It's just getting more and more piled up. We're freezing to death, but we've got our cameras with us, and we're taking photographs the whole time, and just got some beautiful photographs and had so much fun. Even though it was miserably cold, it was just one of the most fun times we've had, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Top that.
Well, I don't know if I can top it, but I just remember one thing in particular. You mentioned Italy, of course, and I think the most, among many things, I think the thing that sticks out is in Venice. We got up real early one morning and before dawn, and we went out on which it wasn't a particular bridge, but we were looking down the Grand Canal, that classic projection down the canal into the open bay. And we photographed that early that morning, and there was just the two of us, I think. And it was, you know, as a photographer, that was like, wow. That was like, I'm here in Venice, the Grand Canal with the autumn. Yeah, I think that's up there in the top.
That wasn't the same morning, because we ended up staying in 2 different places in Venice. We booked a hotel 3 nights maybe, and we loved it so much that we wanted to stay longer, but that hotel was not available. It was already booked for the next few days, so we found another hotel and moved there for another 2 nights. So that was at the second hotel. The first hotel, we also got up early, and we went to, what's the name of the big plaza with the church? Is it St. Mark's? That's what I was thinking, but it sounded wrong. We went out there. Were you even with me, or was it just me?
It may have been just you.
And there was no one there. And that's one of the busiest places in Venice. That's where the cruise ships dock and all that. Do you mind? We're trying to film. And there was nobody there except this guy who was sweeping the plaza. And it wasn't, you know, not everything, but so many things in Italy were so different to what we're used to in America. You go to Walmart and you buy a broom, right? There it was like this handmade broom that you'd see in a Halloween movie that a witch would have. And like, I didn't know those actually existed. And he's sweeping this giant plaza with it. That was another cool thing, seeing that place empty early in the morning. It was just pigeons and the 2 of us.
And as I've always said, Venice is almost as pretty as Houston.
Next question.
What is the worst injury you've ever had?
The worst injury I've ever had was when I was working as a zookeeper at a place called Moody Gardens in Galveston. I was in the rainforest pyramid taking care of birds and some other animals. I worked the evening shift, so I got there around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. The other keepers were still there, and then they all went home, and I was the only person in charge of the place for the rest of the evening until about midnight or 1 in the morning when I went home. I was chopping fruits and vegetables for some of the bird diets, and I chopped off the tip of my thumb, and not like, bone or anything. It was really a small piece of skin is all it was, tissue. But oh my God, there was so much blood. And I've never broken an arm or anything like that, but when I think of my worst injury, it doesn't sound like much, but I was really worried because it was a lot of blood and I was there by myself, and I was 18 at that time, and I wasn't sure if it was going to stop or if I was just going to bleed out through my thumb or what was going to happen. That was my worst injury. How about you?
It's an interesting question, and I mean, in my case, I'm going to talk about the worst injury I've ever had. It was a very, very minor thing when you consider injuries that people can and have had. When I was about 5 years old, when you're very stupid, I was cutting cheese with a butcher knife, big 8-inch chef's knife. And my mom was in there with me, but I guess she wasn't paying attention. And sure enough, I chopped down into my finger down to the bone. There's still a notch in there today, and again bled like a stuck pig and screamed like a pig. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that that's the worst injury I've ever had. I'm like most guys. As a kid, I tried 1,000 ways to kill myself on bicycles, go-karts, whatever. But that's the worst injury I've ever had. Now I will say that it affected my guitar playing because it's hard to make a bar chord when you have a big notch in your finger. Yeah, I mean, everything's relative. That's the worst injury I've ever had. Thank God. Okay, next question. What are the most important values that you have always stood by?
First of all, Roxy, we are trying to film. Please stop bullying your brother. Thank you. Oh, she came to see me. That means you guys get to see her.
Let them see her.
There you go.
This is the bully.
This is the bully.
Mm-hmm.
Bully back down. She doesn't look like a bully. She looks terrified now. I won't turn her upside down because she hates it. But there she is.
Hey, young girl.
Adorable Roxy, the bully.
So again, what are the most important values that you've always stood by?
Oh, yes.
Or sat by?
For me, I think it's always been equality for people, not discriminating, because I just remember being very young and learning about that and wondering why that even happened, and I still feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't understand it. I also remember thinking when I was in middle school, my generation is going to be the generation that changes this. Like, racism is going to be over, it's not going to exist anymore, and not just that, but other things too. That didn't happen, unfortunately. No. Yeah, it just has never made sense to me, whether it's based on skin color or religion. I've never understood, and it was probably, I guess it was middle school, maybe high school, when I really started learning about the Holocaust and what happened there. Maybe later than that, when I learned that people still discriminate against Jewish people, and that's just never made sense to me. And I didn't really meet Jewish people until I was in high school, and I've always liked Jewish people, and I don't see any difference between them and anybody else, just like any other group. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's baffling, and it's more baffling that, I mean, I understand it can be a learned thing, that parents or whoever can teach that stuff to their kids. Once you're an adult, it seems like that wouldn't fly anymore. Like, there's no good rationale to discriminate against somebody. I just don't get it.
You're driven by logic.
I am driven by logic much of the time, until it comes to handbags.
And dogs.
And dogs.
Okay.
Let's wait for the ambulance to go by.
My
Okay,
turn?
next question.
Oh, but I haven't answered.
Oh, well, fine. Answer the question then. Wait, there's another ambulance. Okay, you may answer.
So the most important values that you've always stood by, fairness.
Yeah, that's a big one for you.
And Autumn has experienced that from me many times, and where I'm saying, well, that, I don't think that's fair. We need something, whatever it is, needs to be shared fairly. I'm really big about that. Respect. These are sort of buzzwords, but I guess it's the way that I think. I think of respect as something that it's an ideal that is important to me, that everyone have respect for everyone. Oh my God, accountability. You get that from me all the time. I'm always, if I get angry about something, as the old guy complaining about, the way the world is today. What I get angry about is that nobody seems to have any accountability anymore. People break laws, people break norms, people break morals, and they just don't want to be accountable for it, and it drives me crazy. Another thing that is important to me is just the ability to listen. Fortunately, I've had people in my life say that one thing that they've liked about me is that I listen to them. I don't know where that comes from, but again, probably the way we're raised, I think, is sometimes impacts us later in life. We don't even realize it. I know that my family and my parents and grandparents always listened. They were willing to listen to you say what you needed to say, even if it was contrary to them or they disagreed. They gave you that respect to listen to you, and I just find that's important.
He's very good at listening.
Next question.
Yeah.
If you only had one of your 5 senses, which one would you choose and why?
Mine would be sight, because I'm an artist and I need to be able to see things that inspire me and see whatever I'm creating.
I'm the same. I'd have to agree. It would be sight. If I could only have one, I would want it to be sight. I mean, again, as a photographer, I just consider that the prime sense of human beings. You know, with dogs, it's their smell. They relate to their universe mostly with their noses, and humans, you know, we're built to see things. So it's just, it's a no-brainer for me. Sight. Last question. Last question. What's the one thing you would change about yourself?
Well, I mean, for me, it's going to be something I could change. I just haven't been motivated enough to do it because it's a rest of your life change, and that's losing weight.
Oh.
You know, being thin would be nice, but I prefer the lifestyle of being able to eat whatever I want over being able to, I guess, wear whatever I want and look a certain way. It's a choice I've made. I don't want to do the work to make it happen, but if I could snap my fingers and change that one thing, that's what I would change. I would change one more thing. I would have a much fatter bank account. Yes.
There you go. My turn?
Yeah.
The one thing I would change about myself, again, I've lived a few years, I've been around a while. If I could kind of start over with something, it would be that I wish I had a better sense of money. I look back at my life and I never was good with money. I let it slip out of my hands too many times for too many bad reasons. I mean, I can think of 1,000 times where if I had done something differently, or if I maybe had been educated a little bit more in money management, I would have changed that, because I just know that don't ever look to me as to be your financial advisor.
Those 15 divorces might have...
That could have been something to do with it. And I do have one more question, but it's just a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Why did you put me on a stool so that I look shorter than
Well,
you?
I told you to bring the stool in because I didn't think I thought you would want to sit down to film this, because I knew that even 10 questions was going to be really long and we'd probably have to break it into because you talk so much. So I knew you'd want to sit down, and the chair that I have in here, you would be way too short. I thought the stool would be higher. I don't sit down for videos anymore, I stand, so I thought, you know, that would work. I also thought it's just the perfect opportunity to put Baron's butt right in your face.
No, that happens every morning.
Yes, it does. Hello, Bear.
I think the real reason is you're just jealous because you know that I'm 7'2".
I was going to make a joke earlier about you being 4 feet tall, but, you know, I've got to do something here. There he is. Look at that cute boy. He's the cutest. He's the most interesting dog in the world. Looks so chill and cool.
He doesn't often melt, but when he does, he melts completely.
Yes, he does.
That's why he's the most
Goofy
interesting
boy.
dog in the world.
Mm-hmm. That wraps it up. Thanks, Paul, for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's their fault.
I know, it's y'all's fault.
So what do I say at the end of videos? Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it. Let us know if you have any questions for us, or for Paul in particular, and maybe we'll do another video. You know what I'm thinking actually is maybe during Vlogmas, Paul will be in a couple of those, and we could do some questions then.
But I'm not going to be Santa. Just forget about it.
We'll see about that.
Yeah. If we're done, I guess we better stick this thing back in the freezer because it's melted again.
Yeah, it has.
Yep.
All right. See you guys next time. Have a fantastic day.
Adios.
Bye.